This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast. This is the podcast where we discuss marketing tips, business tips, and so many other cool things to help assist you in your business journeys. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's partnership coordinator. And I'm very excited today because we have a great guest called Patrick Kurowski.
Karowski. Yep.
Kurowski. Okay, so I got to get a second try.
Yeah.
He is the founder and CEO of MarketKeep. Hi, Patrick. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to have you on the episode today.
Yeah, likewise. I'm excited. Thank you very much for inviting me to join the podcast today.
Okay, awesome. So, before to, I don't know what I just had a brain fart right now, but so I guess kind of break the ice and get started. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do? Can you tell us all about MarketKeep for anybody watching who is not familiar with who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, my name is Pat Karowski. I am the founder and CEO of MarketKeep. We are a digital marketing agency for small businesses. So we wear a ton of, but I think at the end of the day, we also know for our gen optimization strategies and also our website designs for small business owners. And typically, I think we work primarily with service-based companies. We do dabble with e-commerce, but I think more often than not, it's really the service-based businesses, and it's a lot of fun, right? Like every day's different. Get to work with a lot of different business owners, which I think keeps it from being a little bit boring at times because SEO can definitely be boring. But I like to joke we're part-time marketers, part-time therapists, because we're also dealing with, I think, the problems of a small business owner too, which is there's enough of them to go around.
Very interesting, Patrick. And you
Yeah.
said service-based. So is it software as a service or is it more
No, that's a great
just
clarifying point. So more like home services, right? So home improvement companies, roofers, plumbers, electricians, that type of service-based business.
That's so interesting. And I wanted to ask, because you're doing mostly digital marketing, you said
Mhm.
in this industry, with this kind of service that you're working with,
Yeah.
is social media a big part of the digital marketing strategy? Because I feel like with e-commerce, you see with SaaS too,
Yeah.
digital marketing is social media is very integrated into digital marketing. And whilst yes, social media is a big part of digital marketing in general, how big is the role that it plays on the industries that you're working with?
I think it's becoming more proactive as the years go by. Certainly in 2025, I think we expect more of our small businesses that we work with really to be utilizing social media. I think it helps to build trust and like credibility more so from like a video standpoint. So I think a lot of like the businesses that we do work with, I think they look at social media right now as more of like a fact checking opportunity for their potential clients, right? Like whether it's showcasing their before and after work, maybe highlighting the company and like the service trucks that they have. I do think social media is becoming prevalent. We always just like to use the phrase like connecting with customers in the moments that matter to them, right? So whether that's winning, the first position on a Google search or, kind of being somebody that can be discovered, whether that's through like Instagram Reels or TikTok and whatnot. I think those are opportunities that our small business owners care about.
Interesting, yeah, because I think like
Sure.
we've seen like a surge of ecom companies. I think they have like a very big social presence, but it makes
Right.
sense because like like with things like TikTok Shop and like direct
Yeah,
link to websites, it
absolutely.
makes sense that you would want to get there
Right.
with
Right.
e-commerce. But I was just curious about service. These type of industries, I think it's a little bit more niche. I've never
Yes.
really thought to find a plumber on Instagram, for example. But I do think
Right.
that credibility is very important, and sometimes you get that through socials.
Yeah, I don't know how many of us are watching like toilet repair reels on Instagram while we're trying to scroll through the day, right? But I think at the end of the day, trying to put a face to a name with a business, I think does help. So, in that sense, I think social can help a small business owner.
I'm addicted to the carpet cleaning videos and like the
Oh,
car detailing
they're
ones.
therapeutic. Yeah, they're
So
therapeutic.
I love them.
I
That's a
know.
yeah.
I know. I recently got a haircut and I think it was 100% inspired by the Instagram reels, probably about like the hair. Like there's a lot of barbers now that use social media to their advantage and I was definitely inspired by that. So
Yeah, no, it's definitely I mean, it's definitely there. I think anything that you want, you
mhm.
can find on social media.
Yeah.
But you did mention that you guys focus more on, search engine optimization for small
Mhm.
businesses, right? Do you think that this is, for the type of businesses that you're working with, the best digital marketing strategy? I know that honestly there's not one thing that, um,
Right.
can sort of you cannot put everyone under the same umbrella, but I'm
Mm.
curious to see what's the most, like, you see more commonly being successful for these business owners.
Yeah, that's a good question. Loaded question, but a good question. So I would kind of say, we definitely feel that search engine optimization in the long run is probably like one of the more effective tools for a small business owner to generate leads and conversions. I kind of referenced it earlier in the conversation, but connecting with customers in the moments that matter to them. I think that ultimately is probably the question that a small business owner needs to kind of answer for themselves and figure out like where is my customer base kind of coming from and how can I meet them there and make things easier for them. So typically when we're working with a small business owner, there's a lot of emphasis on the Google 3 pack and making sure that they have the ability to appear there, that the reviews are looking good and credible and can kind of, I think maybe give a little bit more insight into the company and kind of the type of person that you're going to be interacting with. And then also too, just like the website, making sure that, their services can be found and then it's easy to reach out and contact them. So we do think search engine optimization at the end of the day, like kind of wins the battle for leads and conversions versus like Google ads where you're paying for every click. And sometimes, it could be a competitor clicking or it could be the person that has called you twice already that day and they're calling you for the third time, and that was that click. So we're big fans of SEO. We feel like in the long run, it really helps out, but there are definitely multitudes of ways to reach somebody online right now.
Do you think that with digital, that there is a, kind of oversaturation of I mean, there is an oversaturation of ads for sure, but, with your industries, that you're working with, with these type of service,
Mhm.
industries, do you think that there is an oversaturation of content to be sort of that's on the zeitgeist that makes the consumers less likely to interact, or do you think that it's still relatively fresh where
Oh
people
no,
do
for sure. There's so much information out there, both for I think potential customers trying to find like a home improvement company, and then also for like home improvement owners to find us too, right? Like there's so many different pieces of information out there, and I kind of say like the challenge or like the opportunity is just you have to be authentic. Whether that is a customer trying to find your website or whether it's somebody trying to find Market Cute Great. I think as long as you're authentic, you're providing value and you're answering their questions, you'll be able to connect with that individual. It's just really hard to kind of sit down in the day and like actually kind of come up and like say like, all right, like let's talk about are we putting everything that we need together on this page so that it's easier for the person to digest and easier for them to find us. So
So I also wanted to ask you because you said that your guys are part-time therapists, right?
yeah. Okay.
What are the
Yeah.
problems that you are seeing business owners come to your agency mostly with? Like what are those big issues that you are commonly seeing people
Yeah.
well businesses face that you have to sort of help them get through?
I think it's number one, it's always just finding them, right? I can't get I can't be found. My competitors, always kind of get like the phone calls and the jobs And so that's always like the first problem that people reach out to us about. I got to be careful with saying part-time therapist because I don't need to get in any trouble. But at the same time, too, as we develop our relationships with our clients and we have a lot of like long-standing relationships with them, naturally they're calling us to be like, hey, I just got this like horrible review and it's not my fault and it's just this person, right? And so you kind of figure out that you're talking them off the ledge a little bit when it comes to, like not being overly sensitive to, maybe getting a negative review or, maybe there is an employee that's just not doing what the business owner has been asking them to do for 3 or 4 consecutive months. And so those problems tend to come up. And I'm like, that's a little bit outside SEO, but sure, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Well, for context, at Penji, we do graphic design. Uh,
Nice.
and
Okay.
we have the same situation where we have clients who, they'll want graphic design, but they also have so many questions about marketing where we're
Mhm.
just like, well, we don't offer
Yes.
strategizing, but we can help.
You're right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
similar situation of because I think all of these problems sort of just tie in together.
Mhm. Yeah.
And business owners have to wear so many hats that they're sometimes I think they're not even thinking about one
Yeah.
specific thing.
There's so much going on and on a daily basis for a business owner. And so I think when you're talking to them, you're probably just going to answer all the questions anyways. That's the only time they have for it. So
Yeah, and you might as well help them, I think.
maybe,
Now,
yeah, hopefully.
Patrick, how did you actually I'm really curious about your journey. How did you actually end up it like founding your own agency? How did you end up with Market Keep?
Yeah.
What led you to it? I think it's a really big step that I'm always curious to see how people took that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, such a crazy step to take. But no, I think it was something that I kind of fell back into in college. I was a communications major at St. Joe's University in Philadelphia. And so I had a couple internships where it was a little bit more on like the content creation side because I was the 19 or 20-year-old that understood social media, and I'm going to use air quotes to understand. But I think that was kind of like the opportunity or like the first time experience and maybe running digital marketing strategies for small businesses. And then I had a couple jobs outside of college that I learned a lot from. Maybe not necessarily enjoyed, but I learned a lot from. And I kind of realized, like, you know what, I want to be able to do this myself. I think I can kind of do it better. Just like most small business owners kind of think when they start their journey. But yeah, crazy to think we're coming up on 9 years now. So starting from myself and 3 clients with a total of $750 in monthly billing to, where we are now. It's been a really fun and incredible journey.
That's amazing. And like, I mean, that's a very short time for you to actually have something sustainable. How did you actually make it into a sustainable business? Like, because I think it's you always try to have these things, but I think
Yeah,
we see a lot of business owners who cannot quit those corporate jobs because they can't make enough revenue out of their normal businesses.
sure.
People who have, messy incomes, et cetera, et cetera. How did
Yeah.
that happen for you?
That's a really great question. So I will preface it by saying this probably isn't for everyone. But when I started Market Keep, I was 24. I had just gotten married maybe like a year and a half ago, to that too. So I had, my wife, and then I came and presented the idea of starting my own company to my wife when she was 3 months pregnant with our first son. And then I started the company probably when our oldest was actually maybe 3 or 4 months old at the time. So there was basically, no option to fail or kind of like no option to kind of rest on your laurels a little bit there. Right. So whether it was a great day or a bad day, I thought it was great because I got to come home, talk to my wife, who definitely was like the rock and the foundation of forming
You
the
really put
business.
the pressure on yourself with that.
Yeah, right. There was no turning back. But yeah, I think that ultimately that propelled me to kind of get to where I was. Cause again, I think as business owners, sometimes we like have a really good day and you kind of go like, all right, that's enough for now. And maybe you kind of rest a little bit, or, you can have a really bad day and you can kind of like just let it slip into like a really bad week. But I was very grateful to have a very supportive wife. And then I also think just having a family to take care for really helped propel the company a lot faster than it did. Really hard, but I also think it was really, really helpful in my situation.
That makes sense. I work really well under pressure. I don't know why. Like,
Yes, exactly.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was in college, I would, like, never study for my midterms.
Mhm.
That's probably is such a bad thing, but, like, I would not study until the last minute.
Mhm.
Bec I don't know why. If I was, like, cramming a night
Yeah.
before, I
Yeah.
felt like I had no choice. I felt
Yeah.
like, "How do you" and I could not get distracted, but if I had, like, 2 weeks, I would just not have that discipline.
Right. No, it's kind of like put up or shut up, right? So you gotta, yeah, no, I hear you on that one.
Yeah, so I would constantly put myself in situations where, like, I would just have to be under pressure of, like, "You have to finish this in X amount
Right.
of time."
Right.
And my friends would always be like, "That's not sustainable," and I'm like, "I know, but I feel like that's when I work best."
You're right, but it works for me. So, right. I think, yeah, I think at the end of the day, you just got to find what works for you and kind of stick to it and ignore the noise a little bit. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's amazing that you were sort of able to turn it into something that was sustainable. I think a lot of people have that desire, but ultimately fail to do so,
mhm,
which I think it leads me to my next question, which goes into the next step of actually building something, which is scaling.
right.
I think for any business owner, it's like you're in the place where like you're just trying to get your business in a good place. And then once you got it to that good, stable place, you think you have it all figured out, but actually
Yeah.
the next step is completely different than what you did.
True.
Um, how is that experience for you of actually, scaling and starting to work with more people other than yourself, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. No, it's, I think every day is a learning opportunity when it comes to that. I'm still learning, 9 years in what works and what I enjoy doing and what I don't enjoy doing. I think at the end of the day, you have to be very honest with yourself. You have to be very honest with where you are as a business. There's a quote that I kind of like, or like a saying that I kind of like, where it says like, you're never as bad as you think you are, but you're never as good as you think you are either. And so I think you have to kind of take that into consideration when growing the business. I think a lot of us will maybe think they're a little bit better than they are, and then they kind of like overgrow or they overpromise and maybe underdeliver. So for me, I think you have to be willing to answer the hard questions for yourself about whether like you can physically grow and if you want to grow. And then when you do, I think you have to on board with people that really understand like the mission and I think kind of like why you started your business. If you aren't working with those type of people, I don't think you're going to like sustain that growth and you'll probably like stall out a little bit. Um, and then that's where I think most people fail. You gotta surround yourself with people that understand the mission and are probably better than you at the end of the day too.
Was it difficult for you to let go? I've talked to a lot of business owners who
Sure.
told me that what was hard for them was sort of giving up control for some things and being like, "Yeah, I mean, you do this,"
Yeah.
because, it's like it's your baby and you don't wanna let other people touch it type of thing.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think at times I still struggle with that too, right? But I think definitely early on, there were people that be working there and at Market Keep, and they'd be working on a project, and they're like, "Well, I'm gonna do it this way," and I'm like, uh, like, is that really the best way? But you have to realize everybody has their own unique process, and as long as they're kind of getting to that finish line, and they're first and foremost keeping the client in mind, I think that's the best thing. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of like times where I have to realize, okay, I got to take a step back. And then I also had to realize that no one's ever going to truly work as hard as the business owner. People might be leaving at, 5:30 and you're like, what are you doing? The day's not done, but it is. It is for them. So yeah, that was a very hard lesson to learn. Still learning it.
And I also wanted to ask you with client relationships. I think
Mhm.
your sort of, in the agency world, client relationships are so important.
Yeah.
Whereas I mean, obviously in every business, client relationships are so important, but with being an agency, it's so important to have a good relationship with your client.
Right.
how has that learning process been? Like how were you able to sort of figure out how to relate to your clients and help them out and build trust with them and make them feel comfortable and like they were actually in good hands, I think.
Yeah. I think that really begins at the onboarding process. I think you have to be upfront and understand like these are the things that we're going to be working on together as a team. And help, understand helping them to understand like if they have a problem, here's how to reach us. If they have a question, here's the best way to get in contact with us. And here's our scheduled check-in points. But I think more than anything else, at least from our perspective, being in the digital marketing world, like I think a small business owner just wants somebody that knows that they're on, like they're hiring somebody that's going to be on their side, that they're invested in the growth of their business, not the business being like the client's business, not like the additional marketing agency's business. And just being honest and having like that open line of communication. I think so many times businesses fail where they just stop talking or they stop communicating and they're just like just sending them reports, right? Like nobody wants to feel like a number. I think you have to just again develop that relationship and I guess that appreciation for what they built too, more than anything else.
How did you end up working with this like with service industries?
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that.
No, I think for me, it's just, it's fun, more than anything else. I think, you know, we really, we really wanted to work with like the small business owners and the service-based business because I think you get to see an impact of like the work that you have, right? It's really fun to like hear a small business owner say like, I was able to hire like a few new people or we've expanded into a new state, because of the, the things that we've been able to work on. So I think you can kind of see like your hard work growing, and turning into something positive, and that's a little addicting. I think we've worked with large businesses before, and I feel like sometimes just to get like a yes out of them on like anything takes months, or it takes like multiple Zoom meetings. Whereas in like a business owner is like, yeah, that sounds great, go run with it, right? And you kind of do that. So that's how we fell into it, I would say.
That's really interesting. Because it's also like I guess it's not usually what you associate with digital marketing. The first thing that comes to mind is usually e-commerce.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
Maybe because it's also like very, very big nowadays. Um,
I think so too. That, and I also think like e-commerce. And hopefully our e-commerce clients didn't see this, but our e-commerce client, I think e-commerce, like it's sort of so day to day too, where like, if they don't have like X number of sales by, 10 o'clock AM, it's like, what's wrong with the website? Right. It's like nothing, like people just aren't shopping right now. Uh, I think there's so much like looking at it by hour, whereas in the service industry, sometimes you can look at it like on a daily, a weekly, and a monthly basis.
Well, Patrick, I think that's a great note to end this video on. But before we finish, I
Great.
do have a little game prepared for us. I don't know if you're down to play.
All right, let's play.
Okay, great. So I have 20 questions and I want to do a rapid fire of 1 minute. So let
Okay.
me get my phone.
All right.
I just want to ask you these 20 questions for 1 minute. I'm gonna
Okay.
put the timer here. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just
Yeah.
and we're going to see how many you can go through in that 1 minute. They're not
Okay.
about marketing, they're not about business. They're
Okay.
fun questions, so it should be easy.
All right.
But I do want to put a little pressure on you. Nobody can get through all 20.
All right. Game on.
So let's see if you're gonna be my first winner. Ready?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Go-to karaoke song?
Sweet Caroline.
Books or podcasts?
Books.
One word that describes you.
Energetic.
Dream vacation destination.
Rome, Italy.
Most used app on your phone.
Instagram.
Favorite emoji.
Uh, Thumbs up.
Hidden talent.
Um. That's where people get the minute. Okay. Juggling.
Go-to comfort food.
Mac and cheese.
If you would have a superpower for a day, what would it be?
flying.
Who inspires you the most?
My wife.
Guilty pleasure.
Ben and Jerry's ice cream, fish food.
Who, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? Answer
What would
that
I be
one.
doing? No, I don't know. Probably marketing somewhere. Yeah,
You were born for marketing then.
and fairly so.
Good job. Well, Patrick, unfortunately, you also did not win
It was
because we got
juggling.
through 15 questions. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's good though. You got through most of it, like
Okay.
80%. So
Hey,
that's pretty good.
that
It's high up there. Most
that
people
gets a
do not
degree.
get.
So yeah, C's get degree. So
So it's good to go. Now before we finish, I do want to give you the space to tell people where they can find you if anything that we spoke about today resonated with them, if
sure.
they want to learn more about you, if they want to talk to you, the space is yours.
No, I appreciate that. No, I would say just Google us, right? If you're gonna work with an SEO company, they got to be found online. So, but no, I think if anybody wants to learn more about Market Keep and how we can, help small business owners connect with their customers in moments that matter to them, they can just go to our website, marketkeep.com. We offer free SEO evaluations where we walk them through visually how they're performing with local on-page and off-page SEO strategies and where they can improve upon. But it's a video that we send them, so they don't have to jump on a Zoom call or a phone call. And it's a free offering that we provide any of the small businesses that reach out to us. So
Awesome. Yeah. So I will be adding the links to this on the description of this video. And for everybody watching, go and find them on the description of the video. Thank you so much for doing this, Patrick. It was great having you.
thank you. It's such a pleasure to be on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I will see you guys on the next episode. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.